Hi everybody. I thought that I would make a short video on how I made that pasta the other day. Why? Because I'm bored and it's hot out and there's nothing to do. But more importantly, because Noah asked me to. So now that I've done it one whole time, I consider myself an expert. So I'll give you exactly what I did and will do here for you today to make a very simple egg pasta. So first and foremost, you need the proper tools and ingredients. So you can see here, all I have for ingredients, I have flour, 2 eggs, and some salt. In addition, I have the tools. I have a cutting board. I have my really cool manual pasta roller, and then the attachment, which is got the possibility of spaghetti or tagliatelle. With that, there's a crank. You'll see how all this works together. And then there's also a clamp, which is for clamping it down to the edge of your counter or what have you. So why these ingredients? This is a very simple equation. I have here 2 cups approximately of flour and 2 eggs, and that's pretty much the recipe. 1 cup for every 1 cup of flour for every egg. Seems to work perfectly. And then a little pinch of salt. I think the first time I did it, I used too much salt, so I'm going to try about half the amount of salt, but you'll see how that goes. So without further ado, I will get everything in preparation mode and we'll start doing it. Okay, so from this point now, what you want to do is take your flour. See here I have my 2 cups of flour, and make a nice pile like you see right there. I apologize about the light there, but there's nothing I can do about that. I am not in a professional studio, clearly. Okay, and what you want to do is now basically make like a volcano. So with your hand, just kind of hollow out the center, something like that. And by the way, this is a messy procedure. I like to do it on my countertop directly because if I do it on a cutting board, the cutting board slides around a little bit, and my cutting board, quite honestly, isn't big enough. So I just do it right on the granite because it's not porous. Then take your eggs. Man, oh, and there I got me a nice little chunk of shell. We'll get that out of there. Dump this real quick. And these are some big eggs. Okay, next, egg number 2. Then we got like our little, let's say, bird's nest, if you will, or volcano. Now, the tool I didn't show you, very important, the fork. So now with your fork, you just start dragging in around the edges. And of course your pile of flour is going to get bigger or wider, let's say, because I'm going to be spreading it out. That's why I don't like using my cutting board. And you'll see slowly as I do this, the texture, consistency of the egg flour mixture. It's going to start to change. As you can see, get some flour in there, give her a twist, and then just keep on working it. I'm sure I will, in editing, speed this up, but you get the idea now. Just keep working it. You can see that starting, not quite, but beginning a dough form. Make sure I'm still in view here. Appear to be. Drag it in. Okay, we'll do this for a while. Don't forget the salt, like I almost did, but now is a really good time to put in the salt. So I'm going to sprinkle, like I said, not a ton of salt, but you ain't much salt. And then keep at it. Dragging, get a little more flour in there. Now it's really Looking like a dough here, right? And you may not even end up using all the flour. The key is to get the consistency right. Now, it's thick enough. So we don't have to worry about our bird's nest anymore. We can just kind of do that. Keep pouring it over itself. It seems like too much flour, and I thought that first time I did it. But in the end, it turned into a really good looking dough. And I hope that happens again. Okay, so you see this consistency here. That's a good time. I don't want to waste anything. It's a good time to start hand kneading. So with my hands, here we go. So now you can see how tacky it is sticking to my hands. That's why you think you have too much flour, but you don't. Sometimes you don't have enough flour. And you'll know that because it's like that. And that's not good. So always keep your flour on hand to add more. Okay? So those eggs were pretty big, which is probably why I didn't have enough flour, but it doesn't much matter. Again, I'm adding some flour directly. No problem. Work that in. And you'll see a dough. There we go. Okay. Now, the key, kneading. And all that flour is going to keep it dry. And you see, as I knead, got a little tacky, no problem. We're working the dough. If you feel you need to add a little more flour, add more flour. Okay, so it's pretty good. I think it's a little light on the flour, so I'm just going to add a touch more. Maybe a spoonful there. Work that in a little bit. Okay, now the kneading. You need to knead it, knead it. See what I did there? Fold it, knead it, fold it, knead it, fold it, knead it. And this is releasing all of the gluten. At least that's what I learned. Okay, so we'll do this for a while. But I just want you to see the consistency you're looking for. Okay, so get it into a nice ball. And you see, it's not tacky at all. Doesn't stick to me at all. This is what you're looking for. Okay, so a nice ball. You can roll it around in the flour if you want a little bit, like I'm doing. Shouldn't be tacky at all. Now, maybe the most important step, and that's the weighting. What you don't want is to let it wait without covering it. You can set a bowl over the top of it or wrap it in saran wrap like I'm going to do. If you don't, it gets like that leathery skin feel over it and it'll be more difficult to work with, so I just use a saran wrap, wrap it up just like that, and let it sit for 30 minutes. Okay, that's what we'll do now while I clean up and prepare the next step. Okay, 30 minutes is up. What was I supposed to do for 30 minutes? Okay, so been waiting 30 minutes. We have our dough in the saran wrap. I'm going to unwrap it. I watched a bunch of videos, but I found the best way I like to do it, this part here, is take a section off like that. And remember, keep your flour close. Okay, so this extra, for the meantime, I'll wrap back up. Again, I don't want to get that hardened skin on it. And a lot of places, things I watched and whatever, they wanted you to roll it out. I didn't find any reason to do that. So anyways, the first thing you do, flour, as always. Get some flour on the board, smear it around. And you're not making a ton, so you don't need to do so much at a time. But you're gonna flour this through every pass. So now we're gonna use our machine. Quick look at the machine. We have our crank, which goes in here for the roller, which is this one. And then we have our pasta makers here. They just slide in. Oof. Tagliatelle, spaghetti, and I assume you can buy other ones to make other types. This is what came with the kit my kids bought me. Okay, I got that like that. We're gonna do a sample now. There's also a dial on the side here, 1 through 9. 1 being the widest gap of the rollers, and then all the way up to 9. And it closes that gap. So I found I liked about a 6 or 7 for the spaghetti thickness. It's all about how thick you want your spaghetti. So, okay, so talking too much. Get this like this. Start at number 1 in the widest. Make sure it's got enough flour on it. If it gets tacky and it goes through the rollers, oh, game over. We'll be starting over, cleaning. Now this is pretty small because I'm just doing a sample. You might use a bigger piece. So just start it. Got my crank. Insert on the side here. It'll grab it. You can just flop it up there. And with your hand, grab it out the bottom here. Oops. And you can see my clamp was a little loose, no biggie. So now it's about like that. Make sure it's floured enough. Run it through a few times on the same thickness. Like that. Okay. It's loose. Okay. Okay, so that's on 1. So I'm just gonna move up sequentially. Now I'm at 2. Make sure you got enough flour. If you need a little more, grab a little more. The thing is, if it goes in there tacky, boom. Okay, we'll run this through now on 2. Kind of flop that over. And look how long it's getting. Basically, that's how long your spaghetti is going to be. If that's the length you want, super, it's perfect. We'll go up to 3. Flour. Make sure it looks a little unfloured there. Run it through at 3. And that's some nice long spaghetti there. And now we're up to 6, which is pretty thick spaghetti, but we found that when I made it the first time that going all the way up to 8 or even 9 was like really like angel hair almost. So that's a perfect looking piece there. Oh, that's gorgeous. I'm gonna run it through one more time. Oops, no worries. And the length is good too, I think. Okay, ta-da! There's our good piece. Now we're ready to make the spaghetti. Just for good measure, just a dust. Oh, and what I haven't shown you is my hanger. There's a hanger that came with mine. But of course, you could use pretty much anything. Okay. So now we want to make the spaghetti, which means I got to move the handle to the spaghetti. So now it's over here. And what I found works pretty good was the back not the sharp side of a knife, because you want to grab it about halfway, pull it out, and set it on your hanger, which I'll show you in a second. Okay, ready for spaghetti? Fingers crossed. Here we go for spaghetti. Okay, once it has it grabbed, you can pretty much let this go. And now you'll see out the bottom spaghetti coming. I'll show you a little longer. There you go. So I'll just keep kind of go about halfway and then grab it with the back of the knife, not the sharp side. And don't do that. Actually, I forgot the first time I did this, I came around from this side and it was easier. So I'm gonna do that again. And you don't get in the way of the crank. And voila. Spaghetti. Then we just wanna bring this into view a little bit. I'm working without a camera person here, this is tough work. And then I'll kind of angle the knife like that. Slide it on. And we have our first batch of spaghetti. Now I found out the first time, try to separate them a little bit. And when you cook them, make sure they don't stick together. So never put them into anything but a hard rolling boil. And it's not like regular spaghetti you buy at the store hard. You only need 2 to 3 minutes and it's voila, perfecto. Okay, so we have the rest of our dough. Not gonna bore you with all that, but you've seen my process. As I think you saw, it's probably pretty easy. So I expect to see your guys' stuff. Peace.